Jessica, I am so very excited for this conversation. I feel like it's so needed right now. My nervous system needs a large degree of soothing, and I'm like ready for it.
Okay. I'm ready to. And I'll have to tell you, like they have debutante coming out balls. This is mine. This is the first time I'm talking about my company to anyone, and I'm so glad it's with you.
And the first time that I I saw the email, because of course, as soon as you were like, "Oh, sign up for news," and I signed up for news, and then when the first email came through, I'm like, "Oh, of course, it's all beautiful." And Basker is like beautiful and perfect, and exactly what I would expect from like someone with such a deep sense of style and understand of branding, but then also like for people like me who are craving nature now more than ever.
Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad that you felt that way. I just like wanted the imagery to just evoke emotion of some kind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's so interesting because, you gave me like so many awesome readings, but I also have this personal experience in the last 10 years as someone who's very much in love with nature, but also very cityfied. Like I lived in a condo with no outdoor space for a really, really long time. And then 10 years ago, I moved into this house and we've got this like tiny little house with this tiny little piece of, nature around us. And it's incredible to me how feeling more connected, like literally to the dirt, has
Mm-hmm.
made me feel so good and like set so many of my priorities straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I think the interesting thing about that is I heard people talking about that before, right? But it didn't resonate with
Mm.
me. And I don't know if it was because of the people I was hearing it from or, because there's a lot of like homesteader, trad wife, like that content I don't really connect with that much. But then it's just like there's these British gardeners that I'm like obsessed with. And I didn't, until I had a personal connection to it, I didn't really understand the impact that gardening and nature could truly have on us. And I think it sometimes feels very othered, like, oh, you have to have this huge acreage or you have to have this huge house to have this garden box. But I'm telling you, just like a tiny little patch or even a pot can change your whole day.
Yeah. It's so interesting that in the UK, there's this like, it's sort of deeply embedded in the culture, the idea of like beauty and parks and gardens and how much like we really as urban dwellers like need to connect with that as part of our well-being. And I don't know why, like, is it because so many of us are lucky enough to have more sort of quote unquote big nature, like beaches or mountains, and maybe that's not as prevalent there, but like, I don't know what that is.
That's a really interesting point because, yeah, I mean, in Europe, there's a lot of allotment gardening, right? So people get these little allotments that are just theirs. And I think one of the studies that I had sent you is a lot of allotment gardeners felt safer in their neighborhoods. They felt more connected to their neighbors. They felt happier. They felt more at peace. And I think we don't, at least in the United States, you kind of see maybe there's little parts of the garden where you can rent a box or something like that. But there isn't that push of allotment gardening here the way that they're doing it in other countries.
Yeah, and we do have that too. We call them community gardens, and I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe you've just said something that I really haven't thought about before, and particularly now because we are so able to live almost not leaving our house and not connecting with other humans. Like grocery stores have self-checkout, like so you're not even talking to like the cashier. You can just have all your food delivered. And the idea of sort of like kneeling shoulder to shoulder with someone as you're pulling weeds in your allotment or your community garden, like it does actually force you to sort of like reconcile with the like humanity of each other, that hey, we're
Mm-hmm.
actually all people just wanting to tend to our
Yeah.
gardens and like live our lives.
Well, and I think there's also this preciousness that comes along with it that people think like you have to have this perfect garden with the fence it's like, no, have a wild garden, like throw down some seeds and see what happens. Like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think I listened to this British podcast about gardening. It's like the Royal Horticultural Society
Amazing.
podcast. And one of the last episodes they were talking about moving your garden to your front yard. Like most people have it on the side or in the back. And this man was talking about how moving his garden to the front yard, when people walked by, they smiled or they asked a question. And I find myself, mine garden, you can kind of see it a little bit from the street. And I have random people come up to me and ask me questions, or I'll say like, hey, do you want to plant? Or I'll let them, I keep snips outside. And a lot of times I'll say, do you want to cut some flowers? And it's a connection, right?
Yeah.
And I think that even if you're not the one that is growing, it's a way to connect with your neighbors or community.
Yeah, totally. That's so true. I mean, for better or worse, my garden is like when we moved into this house, we just tore up the front grass. We already had this sort of flower garden, but there was a bunch of grass and we just tore it all up and put in 4 big garden boxes. So in the summer, it's incredible and lush. And then the rest of the year, it's kind of like, but it's true. Like people will chat, be like, oh, what is that plant you're growing? And I've had like sweet elders in the neighborhood who like are like jabbering at me in like Cantonese and like talking to me about my garden, like totally like walk right into the car. I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is exactly why I want this.
It's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I just recently, 2 weeks ago, met with 2 women that had just graduated college and they really want to build a business. And they were asking me, how do you do it on social media? And I'm like, actually, I am building my business off of social media. And they're like, wait, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, you could go up to talk to someone at a party. They're like, what would you say? Like, I was like, well, you could compliment on their shoes. Like, and I just think sometimes we don't know how to connect with people anymore. And that garden or that pot or that flower or whatever is a starting point of a conversation for some people.
Yeah, I love that. Did you grow up, like, did the home you grew up in have a garden? Like, was that something that was always sort of embedded for you?
No. My mom grew marigolds, those like the short ones that you get from Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever you get marigolds from back then. And she did that every single summer. And sometimes we had vegetables, but I think the thing that I always remember is we had a bunch of blackberries that would come. And I didn't even recognize that they were blackberries. I probably didn't even know they were blackberries until like my 30s. But it was, I just remember that vision so much and being like, wow. But no, I didn't. I mean, my mom planted stuff, but it wasn't really part of my childhood at all.
Yeah. So where did you find it then? Like, how did sort of, because I'm sort of harking back to that, like, Devil Wears Prada, like, oh, like florals for spring, like florals in your mid 40s, like how groundbreaking, of course, oh, I'm suddenly in my mid 40s and all of a sudden I really love gardening. But like, how did that actually happen for you?
Well, I moved from Chicago to Charleston about 10 years ago, and all of a sudden I had a brand new climate to be able to grow things. And I actually had space because I wasn't living in, an apartment building high rise. And so I immediately signed up for a how to grow vegetables in the low country class, because growing vegetables and growing here in general, I recommend everyone to know what zone they're in, and we can provide a link in the podcast for that. But knowing your growing zone, your hardiness zone, like I can't grow peonies here, for instance, but I can grow things in the winter that you probably can't grow. So it was having that knowledge of, okay, how do you actually grow where I live? Because I think what's hard is when you want to start growing things, you go on the internet, you can watch 1,000 YouTube videos. But if that person lives in California and you live in Ohio, it's completely different for you. So taking that class that was very specific to where I lived was huge. I got super into growing vegetables. And then I moved to a different location. I didn't have that garden box anymore. And there was this one house that I would visit, walk by every day on my walks, and it was the most beautiful cottage flower garden you've ever seen in your entire life. And I passed by it for a year, and I finally wrote a note to the woman that owned the house. I just passed her a letter, and I said, I will pay you money and food, whatever you want, but I want to learn what you do so I can do this. And we formed a really great relationship, and she taught me everything she knew. And when I was working with her, I was like, this is changing my brain. And she was like, yeah, well, this is a job. It's called horticultural therapy. And I'm not kidding you. I rode my bike home as fast as I could. I Googled, what is horticultural therapy? Like, this is not actually a thing. And a week or two later, I was like, this is what I think I want to do with my life now.
That's amazing. Oh my God. You know, just the way the universe will just provide this little, like, oh, hey, you know, if you take this chance and, you know, pop a little note in this mailbox, maybe you'll change your life. Who knows?
Yeah. And I do want to give a shout out to that woman. Her name is Joan McDonald. Her brand is called The Gardener's Green. And we did a trade because I knew so much about marketing and branding, and she wanted to launch this website. So I taught her everything I knew about how to launch a business, and she taught me everything she knew offline about growing.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful to her forever.
That's amazing. I want someone to teach me. I mean, I remember moving into this house and I'm like the worst, like perpetually novice gardener, because it is a very time consuming hobby. And I don't always have a lot of that, but like, so I would just like shove things in the ground and like with my phone in one hand, like scrolling, like, how do I plant this thing? Or how do I thin these things out? But when I first moved into this house, there was an incredible, like 92-year-old Italian nonna who like walked right over and she's like, you come with me. And she like went into her garden and like started digging out raspberry canes because she saw I didn't have any raspberries. And like, just like shove them in my hand. And she's like, go plant them. I was like, okay, amazing. Like, it is really an incredible way to connect. And I love the distinction that you made too about like, I think some people think of themselves as super athletic or super outdoorsy, but that you say that you don't have to love all nature to connect with it. And I think that's something that's so cool about creating like your own little garden or little green space.
Yeah, and I think, and we talked at the very top of this podcast about how the messaging I was getting about gardening, I didn't connect with it because I didn't see people like me, I think, or like you said, that have a busy life or have like the messages I was receiving were like, this is their life. And I was not able to take that time to do that. Yeah. I mean, I will never go camping. I hate hiking. I told you I don't like swimming in water I can't see through. Like I don't consider myself a nature person, but growing cut flowers has changed my life. And I don't even mean to sound that dramatically. Like it truly, when I found it, I needed it most. And I don't know now how I would function without it.
Yeah.
Like I think some people have meditation, some people have yoga. Like this is my thing. And I don't know what I would do without it.
Yeah. Well, and maybe now's the perfect time to sort of explore what horticultural therapy is, because you mentioned that you learned that it was a thing, and like, what exactly is it?
Yes, great question. So I actually went back to school for horticultural therapy and horticulture and landscape design. And so horticultural therapy is the use of plants and plant related activities for emotional, mental, physical, and social well-being. The social part is one of the things I'm most excited about because I think when we think about our health, we think about the mental, we think about the physical, but so many of us are so lonely right now. I don't know. I'm sure you've seen the research on how alone people feel, this loneliness epidemic, even though we're surrounded by people. So that social component of horticultural therapy really drew me in. And horticultural therapy, it encompasses cooking, arts, and gardening. So if you're not a get in the dirt person, let's say you have a lot of allergies, you're like, I can't be in the garden. Like there's so many ways that you can explore horticultural therapy. One other thing that I want to note about it is it was first established in World War I, because with World War I vets coming over, a lot of them have a lot of trauma from, obviously we now know it's called PTSD, but they used it then and they saw such benefits from it that right now, horticultural therapy is most widely used in hospitals, rehab centers, prisons, schools. And the data on how it's helped people in prisons, how it's helped people in mental health facilities is so huge. And I think what's tricky about that, it's all of us could utilize it. So something with Basker that I'm very excited about is those programs are in place in those other places and they're amazing. But I really want to help the woman going through menopause, the mom that's stressed out, the woman that's just living in 2025 right now. Like, I think that, we can really access different types of modalities. And, with launching Basker, because no one had heard of horticultural therapy before, like in my orbit, I did my own research project on it. And what I found through this research project, through interviewing people, is things like art therapy, equine therapy, music therapy. People think of them as things for people that have a severe disability or are in a rehab program. But all of those things could benefit everyone. We just don't generally have access to it. So I'm very excited to try to bring horticultural therapy, therapeutic horticulture outside of those clinical and institutionalized settings, and to have people have more access to it.
Well, and the idea that, again, especially if you aren't like a big nature person, that you can use this access and interaction with nature as part of your self-care. Like, I think we talk a lot about the necessity of like moving our bodies, and we really understand the benefits of meditation, and, not all things resonate for all people. And so, like, how does horticultural therapy differ from, someone teaching you to garden? Like, what sort of is that extra layer of therapy that goes on the getting your hands in the dirt, or like pressing flowers, for example?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think with horticultural therapy, unless I'm not doing talk therapy with you, right? Like,
Yeah.
the act of doing is the therapeutic modality, just like with meditation. I mean, you can try to meditate all day by yourself, right? But if you have a teacher trying to help you meditate, you're probably going to learn some things. And I think with horticultural therapy, it's such a great question, because I mean, I could teach you how to garden, and that is going to be therapeutic. But when I'm going to first meet with you, it's like, what type of goals do you want to accomplish? Are you looking for more calm?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for more physical activity? Are you looking to connect more to yourself? So kind of like figuring out the best path or the best regimen for that person. Because if you're someone that wants to feel more calm, maybe we're going to cut flowers, and maybe you're going to grow this garden and you're going to be able to cut. Maybe you're just like really trying to get out some anger, and maybe we go pull weeds and rake things. And I think everyone's going to be really different. But I mean, essentially it is teaching someone how to garden, but there's, a depth to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might not be there if you're just in a big group learning how to garden.
Yeah. And I think in terms of like it being a genre and a modality, but even just, I think if people haven't gardened before, or even tended to some like windowsill plants, or, patio plants, I mean, the way 4 hours of weeding like will like set me, like I can be so angry and so stressed. And as soon as I start yanking on weeds, it's almost like all of the sort of like built up stuff. So the social media and the constant information overload, it just gets pushed aside. And you're like, oh, right, I'm a human that moves. And I'm just like here in nature doing this thing. Like, it is actually remarkable. Like, I was flabbergasted. Like, if you asked me 10 years ago if I would be into gardening, I was like, ew, no, there's like bugs in the garden. And like, if I have to touch a grub, I'm going to pass out. And 10 years later, I'm like, just get at it.
Yeah, and I think like for you, maybe you love the weeding part, but someone else, maybe it's going through the seed catalogs and planning their color scheme. And I think with all of the things that we're talking about, whether it's weeding or actually seeding or doing a flower mandala craft, it's all of this very dedicated, focused, you're not online work, right? It's just like, it is a meditative act, because you're just focusing on one thing. And we all know, if we've read Cal Newport and we've read other people, that we need more time that is just turned off and focused on one activity.
Yeah, no, because we do. And I think we greatly, it's interesting now having, like, my kids are 10 and 15, and so they're interacting with phones a lot. And I think we are less aware of our own behaviors with our phones. But the amount of times that we pick them up on a day is shocking. I am going to like pop Cal Newport. Oh, and Stolen Focus by Johan Hari. That book was like life-changing for me. We'll pop those in the show notes. But it is, I need, part of it is just this like focused attention where like maybe you have some music on, maybe you're just listening to nature, but like you are not constantly every 30 to 45 seconds having your attention just like pulled in another direction. And that in itself in like 2025 is kind of revolutionary.
Right. For sure. I mean, it's just, I don't know. And another thing that I just love so much about gardening and nature-based work is that we've got a lot of data and studies and research to support that this is something that can help people versus, I TBH, when I started down this path, I actually asked my own therapist how she felt about this practice, because I think, and it's no shade to people that are like, I'm not really like a tarot card person or an astrology person, although, show me a tarot card that says that I'm going to be successful, and I totally believe it. But I think going into this, I really wanted to make sure that I'm entering in something where there is some data, there is some anecdotal personal experiences that are documented to back this up. Because I think right now on social and everywhere else, a lot of the pseudoscience stuff is terrifying to me. I mean, you're the queen of trying to bust those myths. And I think what's so compelling about this is there's something to back it up about how helpful this can be for us.
Yeah. And what does, some of that data say, like for people who are like, oh yeah, I'm probably stressed out and probably could garden, but like what do we actually know about the benefits of doing this?
Yeah, well, one of my favorite examples, and we can recommend another book. It was written by a British psychologist. It's called The Well-Gardened Mind, and she has a lot of documentation, and we can include some of those studies that I sent you to. But, one of the prison programs, the prisoners that are involved in this greenhouse program, there's a 60% return rate of prisoners recommitting a crime to go back to the prison. The prisoners that are involved in this garden program, it's a 30% return rate, which is kind of a pretty nice statistic there to hold on to. And so what's happening is it is decreasing stress. It's, for maybe someone, it's giving them more confidence. It's, for some people, it's learning a new vocational skill. And I think that's the thing that's so cool about horticultural therapy is you can look at it as a well-being. There's a well-being model, there's a vocational model, and there's a rehab model. So a lot of this work, let's say that someone has had a stroke, that horticultural therapist will work with them. The goal for them is to be able to grab a tool twice in one session. So, I think a lot of this work, we see the documentation of how it can help decrease stress or help you have deeper connections to people and even yourself. But outside of that, it's helping people physically rehab, which is a really beautiful thing too.
Yeah. Well, and it speaks again and again. And I feel like I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, okay, grandma, but like, it's like, we need to do things that are real. It's so easy not to engage in like tangible tasks, in physical exchanges with people, with nature, and like just the idea of being able to do sort of garden work or plant work or cooking, and the way that it just like incorporates all of these different skills and thought processes that we're just so desperately lacking so often in our everyday life. And I mean, and you sent me that one New York Times article about the greenhouse, and something that really struck me as a dietitian is that one of the people who participated in this program had said that up until the time that he had spent time in the greenhouse, he had never eaten a fresh tomato.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, that should actually shock people. The way that our food system and our industrialized food system is built, the way that fresh produce is not financially or like locally accessible to all people. It was just like back to the UK, like when Jamie Oliver, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, he was doing all that stuff with school kids, and same thing. They like knew all of these logos for like McDonald's and Coca-Cola, but they couldn't tell you what like a broccoli was, like
Yeah, for
it
sure.
is this return to something that it inherently like makes us human. And so it makes so much
I think
sense.
food literacy is a huge part of horticultural therapy and just growing in general. Like even, having the opportunity to look through a seed catalog, you're going to get to see like, oh my gosh, there's like actually 20 different types of cucumbers. And I think like what you said in that prison program, yeah, it was the first time that some people had even seen a vegetable before, and working with schools and working with all types of people. I think it's an opportunity for new food literacy. And I'd like to say, you don't have to have a ton of space to grow. And a pack of seeds is anywhere from $3 to $5. And I think, some of us, that's the cost of a tomato now, period. And I mean, imagine getting a pack of seeds where you're going to be able to get 50 tomatoes from that or 20 tomatoes from that over a season.
Yeah, I saw this quote and back, so I don't remember who said it, but the quote was, growing food is like planting money. And like never has that been more true with grocery prices than it is today. And so if someone has no space, so let's start with the person who's like, I love this idea. I crave connection to the natural world. And I live in a tiny little apartment in a big city, and I don't know what to do. Like how could they start engaging with this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, just for example, I lived in Chicago for 18 years, and I'm really sad that I didn't connect more with nature there, but that's not what I was into at the time. But now that I know, like the botanical gardens in Chicago, they have horticultural therapy there. Like they work with vets there. They work with a lot of people there. I mean, the parks in Chicago are amazing. And I mean, just even here, like taking that gardening class that was specific to where I lived, I think that if you started to investigate, there might not be a horticultural therapist where you live, but you're probably going to have a botanical garden. You're probably going to have some sort of community garden. You're probably going to have some place that needs volunteers. I think that's the other thing too. There's a lot of farms that need volunteers, or there's, tiny flower farms or herb farms or that need people to help. So I think that could be a great way to get started.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And until you said it, I really didn't think, yeah, of course, in a city, there are so many local and urban food projects that if you just do a really hearty Googling, there is probably something that's like, oh, we would love a volunteer 4 hours a week if you can muster it.
Yeah.
And you will gain skills in addition to helping support what is often, like food literacy projects and like self-sufficiency projects. That's amazing.
Yeah, in Charleston specifically, the Charleston Parks Conservancy, they have a whole volunteer page on their website where you can come in and you do everything from digging to planting seeds to making bouquets. Like there's so many opportunities at a lot of these places that need help.
Yeah. And if someone is got more space and they're like, okay, this sounds incredible and exactly what I need in my life, like how can they access you? How can they access like information on gardening? Do you have favorite seed like purveyors?
Or do I have favorite seed?
Yes. So tell us, especially because like here in Canada, like I've got mine, like West Coast Seeds forever. We love them. But yeah, in the States, like tell us, like how can you start? How can you have fun?
Okay, so and I will just share. So on my website, I am offering a virtual offering to teach people how to grow their own cut flower garden, because again, I love veggies. I think they're great, but there is something about growing cut flowers that has changed. I already said it 5 times. It's changed my life. And I think being able to grow beauty, like our brains love geometry. It loves not geometry. It loves geometric shapes. It loves smell. It loves color. So I think, I really love working with people on cut and come again flowers. Mm-hmm. So you're cutting something, and when you cut that, it allows it to come again, right? So, kind of think about if you're growing like a big sunflower, you chop off that sunflower and you're done. If you're growing a cosmos or a marigold or a zinnia, you're going to keep on cutting and they're just going to keep on coming all summer long. So I really like to focus on come and cut again flowers with people. And, with that is mixing in some herbs, mixing in some things that are going to be beneficial to your kitchen as well. And so I offer that offering. If you don't want to work with me, my favorite places are Johnny's Seeds. I love Johnny's so much. Baker Creek, it's called Baker Creek, but their website is rareseeds.com, mm-hmm. I think. There's just so many things that even if you don't love my palette, that's just the coolest thing about gardening is that there's just so many opportunities and options. It's like you go on a website and the shirt is offered in red and green. You're like, well, I don't really like those colors. A zinnia, a cosmos, you've got so many colors to choose from. It's like you can really personalize it and make it your own. And I think for a lot of us, we're looking for a way to have some type of creative expression. Like maybe we don't feel good at writing or photography, but like when you grow something, there's just so much pride that comes in that.
Yeah. And okay, I very much want to sign up for your cut flowers because that's been not like I have flowers in my garden, courtesy of the people who planted the flower garden before me. I'm just trying not to muck it up, although I've made a few additions. But like I would love to really get into cut flowers because I adore them so much, but I've been a little intimidated. I'm one of those people who loves the seed catalog, and then I get really, really intimidated and overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
This is the wildest things because I talk to really great vegetable gardeners and vegetable growers, yet they're intimidated by flowers. And I think flowers are easier than growing vegetables because with the tomatoes, it's like you really have to worry about the humidity. You've got, picking off the little things that are coming on. It's like, and like grow a cantaloupe. One, thank you so much. Like I got one out of this waiting for like 3 months from this thing.
Yeah.
So I think that what I love about flowers, I think they're easier to grow. I think the return on your investment is better. And I think, you drop off a bouquet. Like I give so many bouquets to like my FedEx delivery person, my mail person. It's just, there's this really great study that we can include in the show notes too, where people were given 3 different types of things. The people that received flowers as the gift showed the most joy.
Yeah.
And Dan, my husband always says, like, you basically grow flowers so you can give them away. And it's true. Like I grow them so I can give them. It's just, it feels so happy. So we're going to get you not intimidated by flowers because I swear to you, they're way easier than vegetables.
Okay, because they do make me so happy. And it's so funny because one of the whole reason why I'm like here today, why I ended up becoming a dietitian is through, a series of pathways. I ended up in a bookstore and I picked up a book as a teenager called 8 Weeks to Optimum Health by Dr. Andrew Weil. And it was just like this, like, back before integrative medicine, when it was like groundbreaking and not just like schmarmy and filled with pseudoscience and grifters. One of the things was like, buy yourself flowers every week. Like in this book about health, he was like, we crave beauty, and looking at something beautiful gives us a sense of peace and relieves stress. And it's so true. Like it is incredible to have beautiful things in our home. And like, yeah, I'm gonna be like so mushy in nature. I'm like, I love flowers.
And I think too, like, even if you're not convinced right now, I mean, I think if you're someone that's super into organics and being careful about pesticides, when you grow all of your own stuff, you know exactly what you're getting, which is great. It's also so economical because, like I said, a pack of seeds is $3 to $5, and you get to grow 30 plants out of that versus buying one at the nursery, which is like $5 for one. So economically, it just really makes sense too. And I think a lot of us, at least here in the United States, are like really concerned about our wallets and our budgets. And I want flowers, and I just need to grow them myself.
Yeah, us too. Canada is, in exactly the same place. And I think, coming back to sort of like this idea of like UK gardens and the necessity of nature. I think so for so many of us, so many of these things feel like a luxury, right? Because we are sold, if you have a garden, you have gardeners, you have this huge manicured estate with beautiful gardens, and you have a team of gardeners. And it is sort of really like, no, let's bring this back. Like, let's democratize this. Like, nature is for everybody. We all deserve to have a little bit of nature, a little bit of healthy vegetable, a little bit of beauty in our lives. And doing this yourself, being self-sufficient, is a way to bring this back into your life without having $150 to spend on flowers. Like, you don't need a flower budget. You need $5 for the seeds.
And I think exactly what you just said, I think, is one of, again, when we opened up the podcast, I think I wasn't connecting to it because I thought of it as being this bougie privilege that was out of my reach. Like, I didn't have time to tend to my roses all day. But I do have time to plant some seeds and go out and peek on them every morning and see if they're okay. Like, I have that time.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, it's kind of like shifting that perspective that A, we all have the right to beauty, and B, it doesn't have to be this thing that is out of our reach.
Yeah. And I think anytime we devote to something that is not consuming digital marketplaces is a little bit of an act of rebellion right now, right? Like getting off the internet entirely, putting our phones down entirely, and like focusing on the here and now and what's in front of us. I think it's probably not only necessary for us in order to deal with the scope of the planet right now, but it is a way to say, well, no, this is real. Like, I am choosing happiness. I am choosing to opt out of spending all of my time with this device.
I just thought of something, and I don't know, you can cut this if you want to. I have so many celosia seeds. It's like pink. It's called the pink flamingo feather.
Okay.
Celosia. I have so many of the seeds. And since we're talking so much about seeds and access, and again, you can cut this, but what if the first 10 people that email me, I will send them a pack of seeds?
Oh my God.
The celosia.
That's so beautiful.
Okay,
that's so beautiful. That's incredible. Oh my gosh.
It's not going to be cool packaging yet. It'll just be in like a little tiny envelope. I'm not there yet with packaging, but if you email me, I'll send you a pack of seeds.
That's incredible. I love that.
And let's make it that, you live within a range that isn't like $80 to send them.
Yeah. So maybe let's keep it on the continent, maybe.
Yes. Which I love all my UK Asian listeners, but I'm still, starting out.
Yeah. I once had a contest winner in Italy, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's going to cost me $5,000. And then that's when I did have to, go, oh, there's a modern solution. And I went on Amazon and bought my own book from Amazon in Italy and sent it to her, because Canada Post, if it's running, is going to cost $5,000. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
This is amazing. I'm very inspired. I'm going to cut flowers this year.
I'm telling you, it is the best thing. And what's so fun is that when you know when to plant them, when you know the height of everything. Like those are the most important things. Know when to grow them, know the height. Because you don't want just like this hodgepodge mess. Like you want to look out and be like, oh, I did that. Because if you're growing something huge in front of something small, it's going to shade it out, right? So you sort of need to know what to grow, when, and where.
Yeah. No, I bought new garden boxes this year. We built our own from like really cheap wood like 10 years ago, and they're falling apart. So I got new Alu Zinc garden boxes. I'm very excited to put them up as soon as the snow is gone. It's just so weird that we have snow right now. But yeah, learning more about that and spending more time intentionally gardening is very
And I'll
much.
say one more thing about it is that I am not a direct sow person, because I feel like when you direct sow, you don't really maybe know what's going to happen to that seed. A bird could eat it. The rain could wash it away. Like you've kind of mapped out this beautiful space in your head, and then some rain comes and washes everything to one side. So I really like to grow from seed into small containers first, and then be able to plant those out, because I think it gives the plant a little bit better chance of survival. And for your own personal knowledge, you know that that seed worked versus just putting it in and kind of being like, I hope it's okay. Because I think a lot of us do that. We throw out seeds and then are like, why didn't it work? What happened? It's like 1,000 things could have happened. So if you have a little bit more control up front, you're going to have greater success.
You've just described the last 10 years of my life, because 100% I'm like, if I can't direct sow it, I'm not doing it. I attempted to do starts, I think like 8 years ago, and it was a failure.
No, we're not. Okay. We're going to get you growing because it's so easy to do.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you can see my little growing stand. I've got all my girls going right now.
Oh, I love it. And you
don't even you can just get like a little desktop one too.
I actually have a desktop one already. I have a little light because someone sent me this grow your own microgreens kit, and it has this light. Okay, I'm in. Amazing. Okay. See, you've already inspired me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you.
Okay, I'm very excited too. I'm excited for everyone listening to this, because just grow something, even if it's imperfect, even if it's messy, even if it doesn't work the way that you think it's going to, like just do it.
And it breaks up monotony. I don't know about you, but I think as a parent or just as a working person, sometimes it's like, wake up, make a lunch. Well, my husband makes all lunches, but you know what I'm saying. It's that thing that every day kind of feels the same. When I'm growing, there's this every day is a little bit different. I get to peek in on something that's growing and nurturing and changing every single day. And for me, monotony feels like hell to me. So being able to have something that changes every day, it helps my brain feel better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That is the perfect place to move into the rapid fire questions. Okay. So first one is, if this stage of your life was a flower, what would it be?
I'm going to say a cosmos. And you know, there's a lot of metaphor in nature, but I think with the cosmos, you keep cutting it, it keeps coming back. I feel like with a lot of my health issues and things in life, I've gotten knocked down a lot, but I keep on coming back.
Yeah.
And the cosmos does that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Okay. Your favorite gardening or nature-focused book for the newbie? Like if you're like, the first thing I'm going to tell you to read is this.
If you want the science behind things, Your Well-Being Garden is incredible. Okay. Or The Well Garden Mind, written by the therapist I told you about. In terms of just like a pretty book, there's this really beautiful book. I think it's just called Gardens. I'll send it to you in the show notes. And it's just beautiful, beautiful, like pictures of old garden landscapes from like the 1800s. And you're just like, okay, they've been doing this since then. Like they didn't have a hose. They had to hand water. It's just inspiring to see, like, if they did it then, I can certainly do it now. I have way more technology.
I love that. We do have all the technology. This is about making the technology work for us and not the other way around. Okay.
Yes.
Because the last time you gave me a show recommendation, I became obsessed with Younger and watched all of it. So, like, what are you watching right now?
Younger, and it's available on Netflix now, by the way. All of Younger is available.
Rewatch? What?
Okay, so I've been doing so many documentaries. I don't know if you want those. There's a very dark new show, which I'm not usually into dark things, but that new show Paradise is really kind of creepy and cool.
Okay.
And then a nice show. I'm trying to think of a nice show. Let me think of one. Well, there's a couple docs right now that are nice shows. And so I think Max has a lot of, The Sex Lives of College Girls. Have you watched that?
I have not.
Okay, there you go. That's your other recommendation.
Okay, amazing, perfect.
That's a nice one.
Okay, awesome. Very, like out of left field, but not for me, a condiment you can't live without. Yeah, sure.
Okay, a sprinkle of an herb on something changes everything. Right?
Yes.
Like just throwing on some dill or parsley or cilantro. I think of it as a condiment in a way.
Yeah.
But other than that, it would be some sort of hot sauce.
Yeah. I mean, both. But the fact that you named dill as the first herb, because dill is highly underrated. And I deeply believe it needs a comeback, like a strong comeback. Like the entire world needs to fall in love.
So one of the first times it has snowed in Charleston in 10 years. We actually got like a ton of snow and all of my dill survived. And I just felt like, and when dill goes to seed, it makes these beautiful flowers and just dill is the best.
Dill is amazing. Okay. Last one. One thing that you're hoping to learn this year or something you're wanting to let go of this year.
Okay. Well, we can put these two together.
Okay.
So studying horticulture sometimes makes my brain break because there is an unlimited of things that you can learn about. There's hundreds and thousands of plants, right? And so when I'm taking these classes and I'm learning about all of these, like I almost want to fast forward my brain to be able to know all that information. Like there's these like beautiful landscape designers that are in their 80s and I just like wish that I had their knowledge so bad. So that's, the thing I'm trying to let go of is knowing that I won't know everything. I'm like reading everything I can right now and studying and there's no way to fast forward time. So I need to let go that I won't know everything right away.
Yeah. And it's the beautiful thing again about a practice is that over time you sort of like suck up that information into your bones, right? Like the things that we work so hard to learn, but then every day we're in it, we're doing it. And then all of a sudden that knowledge just becomes part of you. I definitely understand wanting to fast forward to that point.
Yes. And I take a lot of, and part of my horticulture school, I do plant identification classes. So in each class we have, by the end of the semester, we have to identify over 150 plants by its Latin, common, and family name. And 150 per semester, I'm like, that's nothing still. Like there's still so many I don't know yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing though. Learning is also, again, when you spoke of monotony, like learning is such a beautiful way to interrupt monotony and that idea of stasis. And I think that this is off, maybe it's off topic, maybe it's not, but I think at this stage of life that you and I are both at, I think there is a separation between the people who just sort of accept stasis and monotony at this point in their lives and the people who don't, the people who continue to seek, who want to grow, who want to learn, who want to change. And that's definitely the route I choose, but it's not the easier one.
Yeah. And I do want to mention to everyone, if you're thinking about going back to school, just if you can do it. I mean, this horticulture program that I'm in, I don't know how it happens, but in the state of South Carolina, I think the education is not great, that they have made this trade school free for the next 3 years to people. So I'm able to get this incredible education. So just do a little Googling around, because there are like a lot of programs where you can learn that you're not going to be in $100,000 debt at the end of this. And going back to school again, like it's not something I ever thought I would do, but it has also changed my life. I just feel more connected to myself again. And I think living in a space of having a podcast, writing books, where my work was so subjective to people, like Amazon reviews, you suck, you're good. There's something so beautiful about going to school, and I ID'd that plant wrong or right. Like, there's just a beauty in that too, of like not having your work be so subjective to people.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is, again, it feels like sort of like reclaiming your agency and your self-sufficiency in this world, which I think we all need a little bit more conversation. Are you kidding me? Like, Jessica, thank you so, so much. I hope, and I know that everyone listening is like, all right, roll up the sleeves. Like, I'm in it. I'm doing this just like I am. I can't wait for the snow to melt.
Yeah. And I'm offering, and this is not like a cheesy sales pitch, but truly, I'm offering a free 15-minute consultation if people want to message me, because I am so passionate about this that I want people to just like tell me what you want to do, and then we can see if we're going to be a good fit together. Yeah. Don't be shy about setting up one of those times with me.
Amazing. I'll make sure all of those things are in the show notes so people can connect with you off of social media. Fantastic.
Yes, I'm off.
In the real world. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.